In 1980s Britain, African Caribbean sound systems would play a crucial role in black communities for those who were often excluded from British nightclubs. With US hip-hop records making their way to the UK, many sound systems would go on to incorporate elements of hip-hop with reggae and dub music.
One of my best friends was a hip-hop fan. I was more into the reggae. We used to argue which was the best and so forth. And then one day he gave me a recording of a song by a rap artist called Ners. So when I heard this Ners is kind of like a conscious rapper. He's just talking about his life, his upbringing and all that in his bars. I could kind of relate to it, so I just started writing, trying my hand at rap after that.
In the place where hip-hop artist Ners grew up, the annual St. Paul's Carnival, where many Bristol sound systems would perform, acts as a celebration of the multiculturalism within the area. In 1985, future hip-hop producers and DJ Bocca45 would begin to take note of a significant sound system that would perform at this event for the first time.
But we kind of knew that the big crew in Bristol who were doing things that kind of had knowledge were Wild Bunch. A friend of mine said there's a crew, Wild Bunch, who are playing at the Iron Feeney, and I think it was the first ever graffiti exhibition, and Wild Bunch actually went to that. That was 1985. It wasn't until sort of 2 or 3 years later that Wild Bunch had actually made a record. You know, you just knew that they were influential crew around town.
A few elders who kind of showed us the way. So there was like a guy called MC Kells, who used to do music with a group called Smith for Mighty. And when he saw like me coming up, he kind of took me under the wing and kind of showed me the UK hip hop circle. Smith for Mighty came from a kind of era of the Massive Attack, Wild Bunch, that sort of era.
We're talking about Wild Bunch. Well, this was 3 of the members of Wild Bunch, Grant and Dee and Mushroom, and they went on to form, after Wild Bunch disbanded, I think, which would have been the late 80s, the 3 members who were left in Bristol just formed this crew, and what it did is it kind of validated the fact you could be from Bristol and you could actually do this. Before that, you know, like there wasn't a thing, like it was, hip-hop beats were meant for guys rapping on it from America, but as soon as, you know, Wild Bunch and then Massive Attack had Shara Nelson singing on a slow beat, suddenly it's like, now it's like, well, that's not a genius thing, but at the time nobody was doing that type of thing.
Roni Size being the name for Bristol for drum and bass, he got his breakthrough the reggae sound systems like Qualitex, using their dub plates, making his beats over it, and that's what gave him his start.
I've been gigging with my band of Federation down at the Thekla. We used to get regularly like ram it to the gunnels, you know what I mean, on an evening. And then Roni Size, who I played with, spotted me playing with them down there, and he said, "Si, do you want to come and do some bass playing?" I was like, "Yeah, all right, because that's what I do, innit?" You know what I mean? So then I went down to the studio and recorded a load of the bass lines with him, and then it went on to New Forms and then ended up winning the American Music Prize. So it's kind of one of those things, you don't think about the possibilities at the time, you do it because you're passionate and you're just in the vibe, you know what I mean? And it just clicked and gave a sound.
New Form's critical success brought more attention to drum and bass than ever before, leading to more experimentation with the genre.
We were just nerds in the field, you know what I mean, and just in it, you know what I mean, and learning how to do things and how to reverse things, and it was just a voyage of discovery.
Artists would start to implement more ambient and psychedelic sounds to drum and bass that were pioneered by artists like Goldie and Aphex Twin.
But I reckon when the Pro Tools thing came along and Logic, you know, it became like you were track laying, or like, you know, like a multi-track, as in a way. It was. I don't think it was quite as intuitive as the early days of sampling and cutting beats up. That was just kind of, I think it's what gave us drum and bass, is what gave us hip hop.
Heading into the 21st century, artists like Boca 45 and Ners continue to push the Bristol music scene forward.
Before I was just in my own sound, my own lane, doing what I like, but sometimes you gotta evolve.
For that, I did a project with the tour DJ from Portishead, Andy Smith. We did a project called Dynamo Productions, and it was really popular over in Australia, and we got to tour the world through it, through the connections with Portishead and stuff.
Bristol's had a big hand in trip hop, as we know, at Portishead and stuff like that. I mean, massively popular genre, and I think Bristol's perfect for that.
Because there were so many Portishead connections, I just wanted to break away on my own and just realize, you know, just do this thing solo. You just got into that zone of just making records and making one record a year, and then remixes and stuff, and it just snowballed. One thing led to another, into another, and I've just continued to do that up to the present day, you know.
What I see in my world is a lot of young, amazing musicians.
There's a whole concoction of music, and what makes it good is that the scene in Bristol, a lot of people know each other.
Bristol's always been rich in that, you know. It's like people know how to break, they know how to do graffiti, they know how to make music. There's more people making music in Bristol registered with the PRS proportionally than anywhere else in the country.
It has and has had one of the most diverse and dynamic music scenes I can ever imagine.